From the day we're born, we're handed one recipe for life. Study hard, get a degree, and success will follow. We all know that mantra our families and teachers kept repeating. So you step into this pattern for 12 years on end. Tests, tutoring, stress. You go to college because that's what you do. It's an investment in your future. And just like that, you're under someone's thumb again. A grown adult, still supposed to obey your professors and never question them. You feel that even though you're not a child, you still have no voice, no say. Finally, that long-awaited day arrives. It's over. You finished college, and now what? You poured years of your life into this, you were supposedly trained for a whole career, and yet you don't even know where to begin. And turns out, the places where the real money is don't open their doors with a diploma. They open with connections and with money. These aren't isolated cases, and they're not passing slums either. It's a global problem. Young, educated people were supposed to earn well, to conquer the market, and yet they slam straight into a wall. You didn't fail. The system was rigged against you from the very start. The myth of education is one of the biggest scams of our time. I'll show you who's behind it and why so many of us still believe it. Let's go back more than 100 years. The 19th century, Prussia, this is where the modern school system is born. The goal? To raise obedient citizens and soldiers. The Prussian school was like a barracks. Children at their desk in neat rows, the teacher a commander up on a platform, and the bell like a factory siren. This system wasn't built to develop anyone, it was built to drill them. And that's exactly why the elites latched onto it so fast. First in Europe, then in the States. At the turn of the 20th century, the great industrial magnates, men like John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie, enthusiastically backed, bringing in universal compulsory education. But out of the goodness of their hearts, not quite. Rockefeller flat out admitted it. I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. Those words say it all. Mass education was designed from the start as a factory for obedient workers, not independent geniuses. The school machine was meant to produce people educated just enough to run the machines in the factories and sit quietly behind their desks, but disciplined enough never to challenge authority. This isn't a conspiracy theory, this is history. The Rockefeller Foundation's General Education Board openly bet on creating predictable citizens instead of critically thinking individuals. John Taylor Gatto, a historian and a longtime teacher, wrote that school was deliberately designed as a tool of power. Sounds abstract? And who funded these changes in education? The Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts, the elite of that era. With their millions, they could shape society to their own dictates by funding state education for the masses. They turned compulsory school into a powerful tool of influence. The myth that education equals success worked in their favor because it gave the illusion of moving up. People naively believed this system would turn them into the elite, but from the start it was designed to breed generation after generation of docile little cogs ready to work but never to think. Alright, you'll say, maybe mass education fails, but surely if I become a doctor or a lawyer, I'll break through. Really? The reality for young people in the so-called regulated professions can be just as brutal. A degree often isn't enough if you don't have backing or money. The system made sure the elite of these professions would never have to fear a wave of fresh real competition. Picture a young doctor straight out of school, 6 years of grueling study, the diploma in hand, and now what? Every year in Poland, hundreds of medical graduates don't get the residency they dreamed of. If you don't have connections in the field or parents who are doctors and know the department heads, you can be left out in the cold. And then what? Is it really a matter of missing talent? Or a system that for years has made sure those from the lower class never even get close to the table where the big money sits? It's the same in law. Thousands of young people graduate from law school every year, but how many of them really have a shot at making it without a name and connections? It's no accident that so many thriving law firms are family businesses, handed down from one generation to the next. The judge's son becomes a judge too, the notary's daughter becomes a notary, must be the genes. A young lawyer with no backing often ends up in some lowly position for pennies, while the kids from the legal dynasties land in prestigious firms right away. Fresh graduates are no real competition for the old guard, because the system won't allow it. They guard the limits, the exams, the permits, the applications. All of it designed to keep people without the right background and support from ever stumbling into the elite professions. Brutal, then how else do you explain that without the right connections, even the best medical or law graduate has to claw their way through for years just to practice their own profession? School was never about developing your individuality. You think I'm exaggerating? Think back to your own school years. Were you ever rewarded for questioning the teacher or for creativity that broke the mold? Or was it for sitting quietly at your desk and parroting back what the textbook said? From an early age, we learn that what you think doesn't count, only whether you can fall in line. Grades go to whoever repeats exactly what the teacher wants to hear. Wandering off on your own, trying to understand it your own way, a failing mark and a note in the record. No wonder even brilliant minds were smothered by this system. Albert Einstein looked back on his school days with genuine disgust. He said his teachers acted like sergeants, drilling him to study for the exam instead of letting him dig into what fascinated him. Years later, he admitted that the system of competition and punishment made him feel like he was worth nothing. Think about that. A genius who revolutionized science felt like a nobody in school, and this is not an isolated case. Noam Chomsky, one of the greatest intellectuals of our time, called the modern education system a system of imposed ignorance. Does school teach critical thinking, or does it teach you how not to stick your neck out? Most of us, after well over a decade of education, are perfectly trained to follow orders, fill out forms, and sit quietly whenever authority speaks. Creativity, independence, the system doesn't reward any of that. We're meant to know our place, so that later, in the job market, we make the perfect cogs. We don't question pointless procedures. We sit there obediently after hours, doing whatever we're told. After all, that's how we were taught. Many of us walk out of school with our passions snuffed out and a Pavlovian reflex. We treat the workplace like just another classroom, the boss like a teacher, and ourselves like the good little student who does the assignment and doesn't talk back. That's exactly what the architects of this system were after. If you think your lack of success is your own fault, that maybe you didn't study hard enough, then ask yourself whether all this knowledge wasn't made artificially complicated on purpose. So many professions and skills got walled off behind useless theory, paperwork, and certificates, just to make them seem out of reach for the average person. That's part of the scam. Ask anyone fresh out of school, in any field, how much of what they spent years learning ever proved useful in practice. College is full of cramming, scraping through midterms, theory completely detached from life. Hardly anyone teaches the real skills you actually need on the job. Instead, they pile on more subjects, more grades, more titles. What for? To stretch out your road to a career and manufacture an illusion of being elite. Simple example, in a lot of industries, what you genuinely need to know, you could learn in a few months on the job. But before they let you start that hands-on work, you have to sit through years at a university. You lose time, youth, energy, but the system demands it, so you obediently go along, because otherwise they won't let you in. Take the language of law written so that an ordinary person off the street won't understand a word of it. But not because lawyers are somehow incredibly brilliant. It's deliberate jargon that builds them a monopoly. Medicine. Thousands of Latin names and baffling abbreviations meant to build distance, exactly like corporate newspeak. All of it so you'll think you need some special education just to grasp it. And underneath all that gravity, there's often nothing there, just empty formulas and titles that manufacture an illusion of prestige. The education system has to keep up the appearance that it's giving you something exceptional. So it builds these complicated curricula, elaborate exams, and academic titles. But in reality, students mostly study for the test, not to actually understand anything, just to pass. At this stage, it's mostly about selection. You cut off the less persistent ones and let through those who could cram thousands of pages of pointless little rules. The persistent ones then get a title and the illusion of belonging to the elite, even though in reality they still can't do much, which we'll get to in a moment. But it's no accident. It's part of the mechanism of control, because if only a select few hold the qualifications, then only that narrow group can even aspire to a better life. Except even they rarely become the bosses. Most of the time they land a salaried job as loyal employees who will stay obedient because they sank half their lives into this. They're afraid to rebel because they've already invested too much, and that's exactly the point. As a result of all this, we have crowds of graduates who can't actually do the jobs they trained for. Brutal, but that's the truth. Even employers admit it. In Poland, nearly 2/3 of employers say that fresh graduates aren't ready to enter the job market. You can have a degree in accounting or economics, and you still won't know how to start a business or correctly fill out your own tax return without some guide off the internet. Look at the Polish paradox. Poland has a record number of people with degrees, and at the very same time, employers complain about a shortage of qualified workers. How is that possible? Simple. A piece of paper is not a skill. Universities often churn out graduates with their heads stuffed full of theory, who can't solve a single practical problem. No wonder so many master's holders end up in jobs below their qualifications, because in reality, they have none. Remember those internships and work placements for graduates? Unpaid, of course, because you've still got to learn the trade. The irony of it, you spend 5 years at university only for a company to tell you, okay, we'll do you a favor and take you on as an unpaid intern. Because you can't do anything, we'll have to train you. And on top of that, the curricula are stuck in a bygone era. A computer science graduate who doesn't know the current programming languages. A languages graduate who can't write a resume in a foreign language. And a teaching graduate who never had a single hands-on training session working with children. The list goes on and on. The consequences? Whole generations of young, educated people get reduced to the role of eternal dependent children, or cheap labor. More than half of 30-somethings in Poland live with their parents, and what matters is, most of them have jobs. It's just that the job gives them no shot at independence. The wages are brutally low, and housing prices are sky high. This is a straight road to frustration and desperation. More than 1 in 6 young people is effectively shut out of the system, sitting at home with no prospects. And yet, they poured well over a decade of their lives into their education. For nothing. The ones who try to fight still often fall into the trap of unstable short-term work, living out of a suitcase at their parents' place, zero savings, zero security. Starting a family is out of the question. Poland, like many other countries, is seeing record low birth rates. Young people put off having kids because they simply can't afford to support themselves, let alone offspring, and now the heart of it. This is not chance and it's not bad luck, it's a side effect, or maybe even the intended result of a system that promises mountains of gold for a diploma, but really keeps the young dependent and submissive. Instead of a generation of confident professionals, we've got a generation of indebted 30-somethings who don't know what tomorrow holds. Easy to control, right? Someone like that won't challenge the elites, won't rebel. They barely have the strength, and that's the whole point of this scam. If something runs this long, even though it fails so many, it must be turning enormous profits for someone else. And you really can point to a few groups this whole education and career setup suits very nicely. The financial and business elites I mentioned, because historically they still profit from it to this day. The mass education system guarantees a steady stream of submissive workers ready to labor for the profits of the great corporations. Privately, that same elite sends its own children to private schools, teaches them leadership and entrepreneurship, while funding a mediocre education for the masses, just to keep them in their place. The financiers cash in too. In countries like the US, the student loan industry is a goldmine. Banks rake in billions on student loans that young people pay off for years, and that can't be written off even in bankruptcy. Your education debt is literally traded on the stock market. You are the product. Big business also needs an army of consumers, people who will buy, take out loans, and fuel the economy instead of philosophizing about the state of the world. And those are exactly the consumers school produces, trained for consumption, not for critical analysis. The current system is a blessing for politicians too. First, a society raised in obedience makes no trouble for those in power. People line up nicely, fill out their forms, put their faith in authority, the ideal citizens from the view of those who govern. Second, for decades, politicians have pulled the wool over our eyes with slogans like "Education is the key to the future." After all, it's easier to tell the young it's your own fault, you didn't study hard enough, than to admit they can't provide them with decent living conditions. So everyone gets pushed into college. Because the statistics look so nice. Look how many educated citizens we have. And this is also how they hide unemployment. Because a student for the statistics isn't an unemployed person, and the young, instead of protesting, are busy studying. That's the cold calculation behind it. What's more, it's the state itself that's often the biggest devotee of paperwork. You want to teach children? Wonderful. But without a master's and a postgraduate diploma, don't even bother showing up at a school. Never mind that you've got the calling, the patience, and the real way with young people. What counts is the paper. Politicians proudly talk about raising educational standards because it costs them nothing and it looks modern. And if those educated citizens then earn pennies, flee their profession, or end up working at checkout, well, that's their problem now. Big companies cleverly exploit this situation. If 10 master's holders apply for a single job, or ready to work themselves to the bone for any contract, then you can pay them next to nothing. Today they demand a bachelor's degree even for a secretarial job, and an engineering title to work in sales. Is any of that really necessary? No, but the company can take its pick, because it knows the desperate graduates will take anything. For the corporation, it's free or cheap labor. The tech giants, the banks, the law firms, they all profit from this pyramid. At their feet, they've got a crowd of young, talented people, ready to work 12-hour days just to keep from getting fired. It always has been, and still is, an employer's market, because you're competing with thousands of others just like you. And the education system makes sure a fresh stream of desperate workers flows in every year. And on top of that, there's the education industry itself. Let's not forget, it's a gigantic business. We are seeing more and more private colleges offering a dubious piece of paper for serious money, just to collect tuition from dreamers driven by the promise of a better life. These aren't schools anymore. They are diploma factories cashing in on the ambition of the middle class. In the United States, the presidents of prestigious universities are millionaires, and the campuses themselves look more and more like corporations. Students pay tens of thousands of dollars for the school's logo on their diploma, and often end up with debt instead of a career. In Poland, the scale is smaller, but even so, the postgraduate programs, the MBAs and the courses are an industry built on selling people the feeling that they have to keep upskilling forever, because they're still not enough. Even the tutoring and the exam prep courses, all because formal education supposedly doesn't cut it, so you pay a second time privately. The publishing conglomerates make a fortune on textbooks and standardized tests pushed into schools by the officials they are connected with. The education corporations exist, they're thriving, and they don't want anything to change. In short, this whole setup pays off for everyone but you. The elites get cheap labor, the politicians get social control, and the education business gets a steady flow of money. And you're supposed to believe the fairy tale of success and drift along nicely with the current. And out of all this, one picture emerges. We've been conned. The system is built so that you're not the one who achieves success. You're the one who fuels someone else's. This is the biggest scam of the 21st century, because it's subtle enough that most people still believe in it. This whole myth of education has gone on for generations. Our parents believed it too, though in their day the job market really did look different. But the world has changed, and school keeps selling the same old promise it can't back up. The result is crowds of disillusioned young people with one feeling: I did everything I was supposed to, and I have nothing to show for it. Does this mean knowledge and learning are bad? Of course not. But not necessarily the kind from academic textbooks and tests. Many of the most brilliant, successful people are visionaries, rebels, the kind who refuse to be locked inside the school cage. Slavery by diploma has cost a lot of people years of their lives, their health, and their money. And unfortunately, the next generations will keep falling into this same trap. And though for some of you this is a painful subject, the truth is, your best shot at a happy life comes when you start thinking and acting for yourself. Be brave and go find your own path.